Okay, word and concept one. The word in concept is consideration. That's what we'll be considering. Okay, consideration. The etymology of consideration, a beholding or looking at, mid 14th century, also keeping in mind from Old French, consideration, 12th century, modern French, consideration, from Latin, what is it, considerationium, consideration, contemplation, reflection, noun of action, from form considerat. Okay. We're also going to think about some other forms like consider. Same thing, to reflect on, consider. Obviously, same etymology, except for that, you have to take into account that some of the special meanings in these terms showed up, just what, 5, 6, 700 years ago, some of them. And also, the third form I think I want to deal with is considerable, capable of being considered. Now, an interesting thing about these three words, consideration, to consider, phrase, whatever, and considerable, they don't have very regular meanings. The form, it looks regular, but consideration is like kindness, right? Yeah, they all have to do with thinking, but they have, they have, this is like consign, this is kindness. To consider is a kind of thinking. And I think it's an interesting link right there that to consider implies sympathy. Now, in general, I reject that because I don't like that. It's like if you're going to study serial killers, does it mean that you're sympathetic? Well, the reason I like this word is because to a degree it means you at least have to have localized moments of sympathy. You have to get in their shoes, see where they're coming from, and you might go, oh, well, they're all abused or something like this, and you might get an actual sympathy, but it doesn't mean you don't think they should be uh, jailed. It doesn't mean you think they're not dangerous. But it is interesting. Consideration. It goes in this kindness direction. To consider is to reflect, but it is sort of not just thinking, though you could say the same thing, right, about the word thoughtful. It starts to be, kindness. As if the more you think about something, the more kind you're likely to be, which makes a lot of sense when you think of all the people that want us to stop thinking and tell us not to think, that it's just going to make us weak because thinking leads to kindness. Isn't it a nice idea that thinking, human thinking, just keep thinking and you'll arrive at kindness? Yeah, it is a nice idea, but I can think of examples where the more you think, the more angry and violent you get. So it maybe is just a nice idea. And then considerable is yet another form. It really means pretty large, big, great. Okay, now the regular meaning of consideration is, like some abstract substance of thought. The regular meaning of considerable means that you're able to consider it. The word pretty large obviously comes from a history of, things that should be that have to be considered, things that are very legitimate subjects of consideration are those that have a big impact in some sense, that are, metaphorically large, using a size, a spatial metaphor. So I like this word because we should be more considerate of each other, which means to think about each other. And if we do think about each other, we'll find we have more sympathetic thoughts that help the other people. They don't necessarily mean you should get away with what you're doing, but they still might mean, hey, we have a way to address kids before they become a serial murderer through this consideration. So it's a good word. You should find ways to use it, and definitely you should be considerate. You should determine which things are considerable, truly considerable in the regular meaning, because I like to regularize language, and and that's what I wanted you to consider. That's what I was considering.